Hey guys, welcome to ASP.NET MVC5 with Entity Framework. Entity Framework provides three different approaches to deal with the model, and each one has its own pros and cons. So these three approaches are model first, database first, and code first. In this lesson, I will be discussing about the code first approach. Alright, so let's get started with the Visual Studio. So first of all, create a project. I wanna give the project name code first, or you can say entity framework code first. Okay, then select MVC. Okay, alright, so our project is created. So in the code first approach, we create the classes first, then generate the database from the classes directly. In code first, we won't use entity designer, EDMX designer at all. Okay, so let's first create the classes. So I wanna create the classes in the model. So right click, add class. Let's say one is category. So category model. In the category, I wanna add category ID, category and description. So integer category ID, then string as category and string as description. Alright, then I wanna create another model which is product. In the product model, I want to add product ID, then product name, then I want to add price. Now I am going to use float instead of decimal, then category ID. Alright, so our model is now ready. Now what we have to do is we have to create our context. So how can we create the context? We can create the context here, or even we can add one more folder. If we have multiple of context, then it's better to use in a separate folder. Okay, context. So I want to add a context which is also a class. I want to give the context name as product context. In the product context, what I have to do is I have to inherit the product context from DB context. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to add this namespace. So how can you get it? If you if you keep the mouse pointer over with the DB context, then you will see this little icon, then click it and you see using system.data.entity, or you can directly write it system.data.entity. Alright, so now what we have to do is we have to add DB set, which is DB set. We have to specify the type, which is category, and give a name, let's say categories. Alright, but we need to add the namespace for model. So similarly, what we have to do is we have to add db set for product and give the name as products. Alright, so our db context is now ready. So db context and db set is for we can access the data through the db set. Alright, now what we have to do is we have to add a connection string. And one thing you have to remember this, in this case your connection string name should be your context name. So our connection string name is product context, so copy it, and this is our connection string, so paste it here. So our connection string is product context, connection string, data source, local db, attach. So here we have a database. Now we have to configure our data source and database name. So right now we don't have any database name, so create a database, add new item in the SQL Server database. Let's say database name is entity framework code first, right? Then add. So our database is now added. So double click on the database, it will display that we do not have any table. Okay, so what we can do is our database name is ef code first. Okay, so here you have to give the database name, which is ef code first. Okay, we do not need this. Integrated security true. So this is our connection string. Alright, now what we have to do is we have to create our controller. So right click in the controller, new controller, so empty controller, select product controller. Okay, so at this point our model is ready, context is ready. Now what we need to do is if we call the context, it will take the connection string from the web config file and it will connect to the database. Okay, and if we don't have any model in the database, I mean table in the database, at the time it will create that table in the database. So as you can see, we do not have any table in the database. So I can show you again that we do not have any table in the database. Server Explorer, product context, you see we do not have any table in the database. Okay, so in the product controller what I need to do is we can add what, let's say create, or let's say product context. So we don't have that, so you can even get this namespace control dot. Okay, click that one, so it is added. The namespace context equal new product context. So what we want to do, we want to get the list of product from the table. So var let's say products equal context dot products dot to list. So in this case it might be new for you. Bar keyword. Bar keyword is a dynamic, I mean dynamic declaration of a variable. So that means if I declare var product, at this time the product is a list of product. So instead of this we can write that list of product. So this list of product means bar, because we are getting a list of product from this context dot products dot to list. It will return, you can see, to list. What it will return? List of product. Okay, so we can write in either way. Either you have to write list product or bar. Bar is the easiest one. So we'll get the list of products. Then what we can do is we can display the product in the view. So what we need to do is we need to create that view, add view. So we are displaying the view, list of view. So list, and what is our model class? Product. And you can even specify the context, product context. You can specify the layout. Okay, then add. Alright, so as you can see it is added list of product and it is displaying all the products here. So run the application. At this point entity framework will create the table in the database. Now I will show you after running this application. Alright, as you can see we do not have any data in the table. So let's go to the database and let's see. We do not have any. Refresh. Yep, as you can see it is created the table. You can see product ID, product name, price, category ID, even category ID, category name, description, etc. Okay, one thing I have done without your concern, which is the category name. I have changed this category to category name. So make sure you have written as category name, so you will be, you will be same page with me. So category ID, category name and description. You see, category ID, category name and description, product ID, product name, price and category ID. Okay, alright, so our table is now created. Now what can we do? We can create, now you can add whatever you want. If you want to add category, so you can create another controller for category controller. Okay, let's create another controller. In the category controller, let's say what? Public action result create. So what we want to create? We want to create the category. Okay, so what we need to pass? So in the create method, this is our get method. So this is, we have to specify http verb, which is http get. Okay, and we have to pass a We have to pass an empty model, so we can pass directly from here. We want to pass category, right? Oops, we have to add the namespace. Alright, and similarly we have to add another method for post. That means in this case we have two operations. One is to display the model, to display the view, and whenever you click save, it will be HTTP post. So public action result create. Now you will have the category. Okay. Alright, so first of all we have to check the model is valid or not. So if model state is valid, then we will be here. Otherwise we have to return to the view with that category. Okay, so if model state is valid, that means your model is correct, then what we have to do is, we don't have any context here, so we can create a global context for this class. So let's say private product context equal new product context. This is basically a sample application, that's why I'm creating directly, but in real application you have to create repository. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to add context categories, add category. Okay, that means what? This get method is for displaying the category model in the UI. Then once you fill up all the information, then if you click create or save, then it will come here with that model. Then if the model state is valid, then we can add the category into database. If the model state is not valid, then it will return back to the UI again. Okay, so after saving the category in the database, we can redirect to the index page. So return redirect to action. Which action? Index. Alright, now everything is okay. We can run the application. Close the previous one. What we want to do is we want to go to the product index, or yep, initially we can go to the product index. Okay, so as you can see we don't have any product here, so we can click here create new, because we have a create method, or we can create. Oops, because of what? At this point at least you can guess it, why the error is coming. The resource cannot be found. Why? Because we don't have that view. Okay, so right click in any one of them, the create view, either post or get, then add view. In the template you have to select now create. Which model? You can specify that category, and product context add. Okay, our product category is added. Now what we can do is we can directly call, we can run the application and let's see. Well, now you can see category name and description. Okay, so let's say ASP.NET MVC. So description, we will be discussing about ASP.NET MVC. Okay, create. Oops, because of what? Because of we don't have our category index view, but our database, our data is saved into our database, so we can check out. Then let's see, category, open, show table data. Oops, it is not added because of what? Let's see. Okay, go to the category controller. Oops, we forget to, you can see we just add the category, but after add we have to call a method which is save changes. If you don't call this method, then your data will not be saved into your database. So after any operation in the database, insert or update, you have to call these save changes, even for delete also, except select method or select operation. Okay, now we can add an index. So we can do what? We can pass the list of, I mean what, context dot categories dot to list. We are passing the list of categories to the index. It will display list of category. That's it. Then you can run it because we have index view and we have create view. Okay, so now run the application. Build succeeded. Let's see. Okay, so we do not have any category. Create. Let's say as with another MVC and the description. Create. Yep, as you can see, we have the category and description. Now let's go to the database and let's see. Category, show table data, and let's see. Yep, you see category name and description. Okay, so now what we can do, we can add the category, and similarly you can apply this technique into the product. So you can add product, delete product, or whatever you want. Okay, alright, so in this lesson you have learned how to create model and how to add those model into database using context. And this process and this approach is code first code first approach. Okay, so in the next tutorial I'll be discussing about model first database approach. Thank you.